You've been saving for 3 years, but your account still doesn't look as big as you'd like. Does that mean your dream of retiring in 10 years is just a fantasy? Absolutely not. In fact, that feeling of frustration is a good sign. It means you're on the right track. Here at Financial Recap, we turn this feeling of doubt into actionable steps so you can take control of your financial future. Today, I'll show you how to break through the illusion of progress using Sarah's story and the rule of 72. What you're holding is a powerful engine that can set you free, but most people give up before it even starts. I'll show you when to expect the breakthrough, how many doubling cycles fit into a decade, and when your investment growth will finally surpass your contributions, so those slow, flat lines on your app start making sense. Let's talk about why the early years can feel like a stall. The first 3 years are the hardest, and it's easy to feel like nothing is happening. You keep putting money into your account, but the balance seems barely different, and you might start wondering if this whole thing is a scam. But what those flat lines are really hiding is something crucial. In the beginning, it's all about you carrying the load, not the market. In the first few years, your deposits do almost all the work while compounding is quietly doing its thing in the background. This makes it seem like you're not making any progress, even though the system is slowly setting up for big things ahead. Think about Sarah. She's committed to saving $500 a month for 36 straight months. She drives an old car, takes on extra freelance work, and sacrifices a few weekend splurges. After 3 years, she has about $20,000 saved up. It's real money, but it doesn't feel like a huge accomplishment. The letdown kicks in because, emotionally, she feels like 3 years of hard work should have brought much bigger results. This is where most people step off the path. Early investing is like trying to push a snowball uphill. Every little step takes a lot of effort, but the ball hardly grows. Or think of it like trying to charge a battery from zero. The first few bars blink forever, but you're stuck near the outlet. It feels like progress is slow and your effort is wasted, but it's not the case. The truth is, during the early phase, you're the engine. There's no momentum yet, and progress comes mainly from your own contributions. That first $20,000? It's not the finish line. It's just the runway. Think of planes. They use the most fuel during takeoff, not while cruising. The runway doesn't excite you. It just gets the plane going fast enough to lift off. Your savings work the same way. Before the money starts growing, it needs to get to a point where it can start working for you. Until then, you're putting in the effort just to get the ball rolling. The math can feel discouraging. If you save $400 a month for 10 years, you'll end up with $48,000 before growth. Compared to traditional retirement targets, that's not much. Add some early market volatility to that, and the frustration builds. A bad month can wipe out weeks of savings. This can make you feel like the whole plan isn't working. But what you're experiencing is normal in the early stages. This is also when the behavior gap kicks in. People see small gains and some dips, then quit or shift strategies. They buy when prices are high and sell when they're low. The problem isn't the market, it's timing. When people abandon their plan at the wrong time, the system they've set up doesn't get a chance to work. Markets do give long-term average returns, but in the early years, ups and downs can dominate. One quarter might be up, the next one down. Your contributions still outweigh the growth, so even the smallest dip can seem like a setback. But that's not a sign that the system isn't working. It just means compounding hasn't had enough runway to take off yet. Here's the thing that might surprise you. Feeling behind during years 1 through 3 is actually a good sign. It means you're in the loading phase, and the foundation is being built. Stick with it, and soon the math will start working in your favor. If the balance still looks stuck, you need a way to measure progress without focusing on your balance. A simple clock can track momentum. Let's turn the waiting period into something measurable. The rule of 72 is a great tool for this. It's an easy way to turn time into something you can track. The rule of 72 helps you estimate how long it will take for your money to double. Just take your expected annual return, divide 72 by that number, and you'll get a rough estimate of how many years it will take for your money to double. It's not perfect, but it's practical and quick, which makes it great for when you start feeling discouraged. Now, here's where doubt can creep in. A 10% return sounds strong, but when you divide 72 by 10, you get about 7 years. That means it will take roughly 7 years for your money to double. When you're thinking about a 10-year plan, it feels like it's too slow. The first 3 years of saving, then another 7 years for a full double? That feels like time is working against you. But the key here is to understand that partial cycles still add a lot of power, especially once you've built enough of a base for the growth to really matter. Let's break it down with a simple example. Start with $50,000. At a 10% return, about 7 years later, you'll have $100,000. 7 more years, and you'll be at $200,000. Another 7 years, and you're nearing $400,000. These are clear jumps on a timeline, and the further you go, the more obvious the payoff becomes. If you complete 4 doubling cycles from a $50,000 start, you'll be at $800,000. A 5th cycle will clear $1 million. This kind of math helps you set concrete goals for each phase, instead of getting bogged down by daily fluctuations. Now, let's talk about return rates. Over long periods, broad U.S. stock indexes generally offer returns in the high single digits. Inflation-adjusted returns tend to be lower. The difference between nominal and real returns explains why. Even though a decade of growth looks impressive in dollars, it feels lighter when you account for inflation. Shorter periods swing more because annual market fluctuations outweigh the average return. This is why your early progress line looks uneven. Let's contrast return rates. At 6%, the rule of 72 gives you about 12 years for a doubling, so one full doubling won't fit in a decade. At 8%, you're looking at about 9 years, so you'll get one full doubling. At 10%, it's closer to 7 years, leaving room for a partial second doubling cycle. And at 12%, it's about 6 years, so you can start a second cycle and make real progress by year 10. The higher the return rate and the sooner you start, the more of that second doubling cycle you'll capture before the decade ends. But here's the warning: miss one doubling cycle, and you can add 7 years to your journey. That's the difference between achieving your goal at 45 and working until you're 60. There's also another factor at play: the sequence of returns. You don't get a smooth 10% return every year. Instead, the returns are messy. Some years are strong, some weak. If the weak years hit early, it can feel like you're getting nowhere. But if they hit later, your progress looks much smoother. The rule of 72 treats growth as cycles, not straight lines. This is how you should approach it. Track the cycles, not the balance. Let's focus on the moment when your balance starts doing more of the work. Sarah is nearing that tipping point. After 36 months, she has about $20,000 saved up. She keeps contributing $500 a month and expects a 10% average return. On paper, it looks like more of the same grind. But in practice, something important is about to change. It won't feel like it right away, though. In the early years, her contributions still outweigh the growth. She adds $6,000 a year, and her gains might only be a few $1,000s. This imbalance can lead to doubt. If Sarah starts year 4 with $20,000, her 10% return will add about $2,000 in gains. Her $6,000 in contributions still dwarf the growth. In year 5, as the base grows, the gain increases to about $2,600. It's progress, but the contributions are still carrying most of the weight, which can make the whole plan feel fragile. Here's a way to think about every saved dollar. Each dollar is like a worker. Every $1 you save is a new teammate who never sleeps, never quits, and never calls in sick. At first, you're doing most of the labor while a small team learns the ropes. As the team grows, the output starts to compound, and eventually, your dollars do more work than you could on your own. By this point, the gains are starting to outpace the contributions. When this crossover happens, the growth curve steepens without extra effort on Sarah's part. The system has reached the point where it can really start to carry the load. This point has a name: the invisible tipping point. It's when the annual gains surpass the annual contributions. The math is simple. If your return rate is R and your contributions are C, the portfolio size that marks this tipping point is C divided by R. For Sarah, with $6,000 in annual contributions and a 10% return, the tipping point is around $60,000. Below that, Sarah is the engine. Above that, the returns are the engine. Reaching $100,000 might feel like a long road, but it's not just a nice round number. In terms of compounding, it's about 1/3 of the way to $1 million. From here, the doubling cycles work faster. With $100,000, the growth really starts to pick up speed.